Inflation, yield curves, recessions. What does that mean for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? Today we're going to dive in on the chart and look at Bitcoin, talk more about this news that the 2-year treasury yield has topped a 10-year rate, causing a yield curve inversion that could signal a recession. Breaking it all down right here in this video, so make sure you stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Patrick here. Today we're talking Bitcoin, we're talking yields, we're talking inflation, we're talking recession. That almost rhymes. Yield, recession, inflation, yield. It could be like a rap song. We out here. Okay, never mind. But let's take a look at the chart and talk about this news about the yield curve. Why does that matter? What is going on? All right, so here we are pulling up the chart on Bitcoin right now, pushing up to that $48,000 level. I made a video just the other day talking about this key area at $46,000. It went right through $46,000 all the way up to a high of $48,000. It is currently pulling back right now. Bitcoin down to $45,600. And if you look here on the smaller time frames, you can see the big drop today. What's interesting is this news correlated with the yield curves, with Bitcoin dropping. It's all very interesting. What does that mean now? Is it recession time? Is this the time the Bitcoin starts to crash? Obviously, we don't know for sure. You know, this could just be a kind of precursor, maybe a little pullback, maybe a little fear in the market. People kind of worried about the yield curves and the idea of a recession. The thing is, a lot of people look at Bitcoin as a protection, you know, from recession or inflation, things like that. I obviously see value of holding Bitcoin long term. If you look at the big picture here, obviously Bitcoin, you know, since 2019 has, I mean, even, you know, go back further, 2017, the price of Bitcoin has only gone up from $1,000 up to a high. You know, you're up 6,000%. You know, if you look at currently, you're up 4,000%. If you bought back in 2017 and you're currently holding Bitcoin, you're up 4,000 to 520% currently. Long-term, big picture, yes, Bitcoin will, you know, beat inflation and it's going to beat the yield curves, but is it going to be able to beat the recession? And now what happens here with the recession? Obviously, if there's a recession, there's less money out there for people to buy Bitcoin. There's less money for people to basically invest in risky things. You're thinking, you know, the everyday individual, are they going to have a couple hundred extra bucks every month to buy Bitcoin for their long-term portfolios? It's questionable. Or the question, you know, as well is people that maybe had bought recently, are they selling for profits? Things like that. So there's obviously that question, you know, from here, where do we go in terms of Bitcoin long-term? I obviously believe that Bitcoin will go higher long-term, but in the shorter term, there might be a pullback, and that pullback can last, you know, a year or more. If you look here, like 2017 from the peak, all the way till it broke through that again. I mean, that was what, 1,000 days? So that was from 2017 until December 2020. So you had this insane move on Bitcoin back in 2017. And then ever since, you know, it's been what, almost 3 years of a bear market. Basically, Bitcoin going down, going up, going down for 3 years. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I get excited when I see Bitcoin crashing because I'm like, hey, I can buy some more at a better price, baby. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. I'm trying to buy more and more Bitcoin at a better price. So if Bitcoin, you know, crashes down, let's say to $20,000, well, I think that's just a ripe opportunity to buy more, baby. Obviously, this is not financial advice. Don't go and sell your house. Don't go sell your kidney to buy Bitcoin. But hey, I can't condone it. I can't not condone it, if you know what I mean. Hey, also, if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about the recession? Could there be a recession? Do you think it's all just one big fugazi that no matter what, the USA will keep going higher and higher forever? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you're looking to buy and sell cryptocurrency on your phone, on an app, really simple and easy, check out crypto.com. It's real simple. It's really easy. I keep saying that, simple, easy, but it is. You can buy and sell cryptocurrency right there on your phone, crypto.com. Download it today. Link down below. Let's get back into the video. So the news today here is that the 2-year and the 10-year treasury yields inverted for the first time since 2019 on Thursday, sending a possible warning signal that a recession could be on the horizon. The bond market phenomenon means that the 2-year note for bonds is now higher than the 10-year note yield. What that basically means is if I buy a 2-year note for a bond, I can actually get a higher interest rate in those 2 years than I can for buying the 10-year note. And obviously that makes it a little weird for investors because they're looking at it like, well, if I can buy the 2-year and I get a better yield. So, it kind of definitely is interesting when we see this, because people are kind of looking at the future like maybe the yield is not going to be there in 10 years. Maybe it's not a little bit more risky, or they think it's a better value to buy it now, and vice versa. What's interesting here is obviously that this is very important. People watch this. This is, like I said, this is something that people look for, the idea of a recession. So the 2-year to 10-year spread was last in negative territory back in 2019 before pandemic lockdown sent the global economy into a steep recession in 2020. Now, the thing about that is, obviously, the U.S. stepped in with lots and lots of money printing, and that created inflation. It created lots and lots of inflation. Now, I obviously believe that I think inflation is good for Bitcoin long term, because even if Bitcoin doesn't gain value, the dollar is going down in value, and I think Bitcoin will just continue to rise just based off inflation alone. So if I have $100,000 in the bank and I buy $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, I'm thinking that 10 years from now, that $100,000 that I put into Bitcoin is going to be worth a lot more than $100,000 just sitting in my savings account for the next 10 years. That's just the way I'm looking at it. So the thing is here, the idea is that when the curve inverts, there has been a better than 2/3 chance of recession at some point in the next year, and a greater than 98% chance of recession at some point in the next 2 years. So I don't know about you guys, but 98%, that's pretty serious. I mean, if it was like 99, I might be worried, but 98, I'm sort of worried here. The idea here is that as well, that the 2 to 10-year spread technically inverted for a few seconds earlier on Tuesday as well, but they did not confirm the inversion until now. And to be sure, people are still believing that the curve needs to stay inverted for a substantial amount of time before it gives a valid signal. So maybe it's just a fake out here. Maybe it's like, hey, we're going to fake out. There might be a recession, but maybe there will be a recession. We don't really know, but there could be a chance that 98% that, it could happen. But I've seen the movie Big Short, and normally when the data starts to tell us a story and people don't want to, see the data, they don't want to believe the data, that could kind of be the beginning to the end here. So again, what happens to Bitcoin in a recession? I believe that if Bitcoin, if we go into a recession, there will be less consumer spending. There'll be less people buying Bitcoin, every day. There's obviously always going to be millionaires buying Bitcoin, but I think it'll obviously be very detrimental for Bitcoin in the longer picture. And that's going to get really good opportunities to be buying Bitcoin. If you think about it, you buy low, you sell high. So I'm definitely keeping a very close eye on Bitcoin at this point. At the end of the day, I'm always looking for opportunities to be buying, selling, to get in, out, trading Ethereum, Solana as well. Look at Solana right here. If you guys haven't checked out Solana, look at this thing recently going from about $81 up to a high of $124. So about a 60% return in the last, 50 days. So, I mean, that's not even that. No. That's way smaller than that. Let's look at this like this. It's like in the last 20 days. Solana going to the moon. I talked about Solana in our last video as well. So really interesting to see how the different markets are moving. You got Ethereum that's down. You got Solana up big. You got Bitcoin right at a key area. And then you got the yield curve, the idea of inflation. So many things going on. You got the war, the stuff going on in Russia. There are really just so many different things right now that could be very, very bad for the overall market. And I think there's obviously that correlation between the stock market and the cryptocurrency market at the end of the day, because, the stock market's getting crushed. There's a good chance that kind of Bitcoin follows that, because the people are afraid of fear and people are afraid of buying risk adverse things like Bitcoin. So we'll see what happens. Right now, look at Solana just boosting, baby. Just even when the rest of the market's crashing down, Solana just keeps on grinding higher. Look at this thing, up to $124. So there it is. Like I said, there's a lot of things going on. At the end of the day, all I know is that I want to be buying Bitcoin when it crashes down. And all I know is that I think Bitcoin will go higher in the next 10 years. So that's my game plan. Hopefully that gives you guys an idea of what I'm thinking, what you're thinking. But at the end of the day, I think you got to kind of just look at it at a bigger picture and see opportunities to be buying. When you have extra money, hey, buy a little bit of Bitcoin. Maybe, do what you got to do. But in general, I think there's opportunity to always be looking for alpha, to always be looking for investment opportunities in the market, even in a bear market, even in a recession. So I'll talk to you guys later on.